This is BBC London with me, Assad Ahmed, coming up this half hour. On the eve of the biggest show in Britain where everyone's invited, we'll see what last-minute preparations are being made ahead of the Notting Hill Carnival.
Steel drums, feathers and dance moves at the ready. Join me later for final preparations here in the sunshine for Europe's biggest street party, the Notting Hill Carnival.
We'll also see what arrangements are in place to keep 2 million people safe on the streets of West London. Also tonight. Frustration and despair as a coroner's court delay in issuing a death certificate denies a man his burial rights. The temperature may have dropped a few degrees this week, but parks and open spaces remain tinder dry. It's why warnings about wildfires are still in place.
As excitement builds, I'm with rugby fans getting ready to cheer on England in tonight's opening Rugby World Cup match.
Good evening. This time tomorrow, Carnival will have started. Hundreds of thousands of people will be on the streets of Notting Hill, and there'll be plenty of music, dance, costumes, and that lovely smell of food in the air. It's a celebration of Caribbean culture with around 2 million people expected to take part. It's why a huge operation swings into place to make sure people stay safe and have fun. In a moment, we'll hear from Lakshmi Gopal, who's along the Carnival route. But first, our Home Affairs correspondent Sonia Jessup has been looking at preparations.
The streets of Notting Hill are about to be filled once again with music, dance and colourful costume. A proud celebration of Caribbean culture. Up to 2 million people expected over 2 days. But those huge crowds bring challenges in keeping everyone safe.
Crowd safety remains a significant concern in Carnival. A lot has been done this year in order to address that. There was some funding attached to that, and we know that's gone towards more stewards, which means that we can divert police officers away from stewarding back into their core role, which is policing.
After last year's Carnival, the Met warned the biggest risk was a mass casualty crowd crush. The Conservatives at City Hall have called for Carnival to come under the control of the Greater London Authority, raising concerns, including over the murder last year of Cher Maximin in front of her young daughter. Carnival organisers insist they will keep people safe.
We always work 12 months of the year in the planning of Carnival. This year, with some extra resources, we've vastly expanded. We've got a large crowd management team and resources around it, including extra cameras, information screens, wayfinding signs.
The density of the crowds also makes it harder to reach anyone who does need help. Some medics will get around on foot or bike, and it's factored into training.
We look at crowd dynamics, crowd density. We do lots of simulation exercises to prepare our people for deploying in situations like that. We work very closely with the police. The police have really excellent police medics that support us in those situations.
The advice from organisers is to plan your journey, leave valuables at home and keep your phone charged. Young people have been told that if they are feeling vulnerable, there'll be help on hand here at a safe zone that's being set up in Athlone Gardens. Police say that they've made 100 arrests, they've seized dozens of weapons, and they're going to be using live facial recognition technology around the boundaries of the event. But that's despite complaints from civil liberty groups and anti-racism campaigners.
This is Notting Hill Carnival, celebration of community,
creativity and cultural pride.
This year, a social media campaign calls on Londoners to respect Carnival and each other.
Check in, stay safe and make sure everyone around you is too.
That, organisers say, is the spirit of Carnival, so everyone can have a great time.
Sonia, you talked about live facial recognition technology there. It's been hugely controversial. We've spoken about it here as well. Has it ever been used at Carnival before?
Well, it has been used actually in 2016 and 2017, but it was not a success. It wrongly flagged 102 people as suspects and no arrests were made. And the Commissioner acknowledged this when he wrote a letter to campaigners who've raised concerns about it. So Mark Rowley said that when it was used previously, it did not build public confidence. But he says the technology's changed. The algorithm has improved. He says it will now help keep carnival goers safer. Remember, what we're talking about here is cameras that scan faces in the crowd. They match them to suspects, wanted suspects on a watch list. Now, the Met says if you're not wanted, your data is immediately and permanently deleted. But campaigners say that it treats everyone as a potential suspect and argue that it could be less accurate for women and people of colour. Now, Liberty, Big Brother Watch, the Runnymede Trust have raised concerns. The Equality and Human Rights Commission says it believes the way the Met is using it breaches human rights laws. The Met argues that it is using it lawfully and proportionately, and that an important part of keeping people safe at Carnival is to spot any potential troublemakers, wanted suspects, before they get anywhere near the event.
OK, Sonia Jessup, thanks very much for that. Well, let's get a flavour of Carnival now. Lakshmi is in Notting Hill, and I know from being there last year, Lakshmi, there's always a buzz in the air on the eve of Carnival. Over to you.
Now, hundreds of thousands of people are expected to turn out onto the streets ahead of what is Europe's biggest street party. In fact, just round the corner, there are a few people starting the street dancing already. And also, a few meters away, a little bit earlier, a big plaque was unveiled to honour a reggae pioneer and a Notting Hill legend, Daddy Vigo. Here's Dr. Jack Newman to tell you.
Daddy Vigo is a pioneer in sound system, stalwart and everstay of the Notting Hill Carnival. He was here when the very first sound systems were brought to this country. He used to play in central London at the Roaring Twenties. He then founded a record shop, which is now a tourist attraction around the world. And today we've unveiled his plaque to open up the 2025 Notting Hill Carnival. He's an amazing man. He's a legend.
Dr. Jack Mueller on a lasting tribute unveiled to honour the lasting influence of Daddy Vigo. Carnival, of course, isn't just about the music, even though Mangrove Steel Band is probably an iconic sound of it. It's not just about the feathers and the colourful costumes, it's also hair designs that are going to be at centre stage. And my colleague Amanda joined the Night Class Band in Croydon to find out how their preparations are getting on ahead of a big holiday weekend.
So Aminata, tell me what you're doing here today.
Well, we are just prepping hair for Carnival, which is happening this Sunday and Monday, the biggest festival in Europe, and you can't go to a function like that without knowing what your hair is going to look like. So we're just experimenting with just a few creative hairstyles, testing out what's going to work with the costume. This particular costume that she's wearing has like a crown, so we're trying to see what looks are going to complement the style that she's going to have on Carnival. I think for Carnival it's like all or nothing, so we might throw it all in there.
Go big
or go home.
Or don't go to Carnival.
Right, exactly that.
Preparations for Carnival 2025 started in December 2024 and pressure is high right now. For this mass band alone, there are 600 masqueraders taking part across the long weekend.
We do it every single year and it is chaos, it can be hectic, but we love our culture, Caribbean culture, you know, showcasing that to the world and showcasing that on the streets of West London is really important to us and really important to me.
And the fun is already underway here in Croydon and all over London before the parades start on Sunday morning in Notting Hill.
Parties for Notting Hill Carnival weekend start from Carnival Thursday. So people come to distribution, get their costume, get their t-shirt, and then they go to party, and they're not stopping partying until Carnival Monday finishes.
The mass bands do more than just create the costumes for Carnival. They are the heart and soul, dancing, celebrating, and even competing against each other in front of the judges. It's serious work and serious partying. Alice Bandukravi, BBC London.
Oh, it's going to be a great weekend, and you can follow the Notting Hill Carnival on Bank Holiday Monday from 2 p.m. on BBC Radio London. We've got a great team out there that day. This is the lineup. Master broadcaster himself, Mr. Eddie Nestor, the brilliant Aminata Kamara, followed by Miss Personality herself, Kim Davis, and my boy from West London, Mr. Bobby Friction. They'll all be there on Monday. All you have to do is ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio London or listen online on the radio the old-fashioned way or on BBC Sounds. There's also a very useful guide on everything you need to know about Notting Hill on the BBC London website. The address, as usual, I'll say it for the sake of it, bbc.co.uk/London. Take a look. Well, that's Carnival. This is BBC London. This is what's still to come. There's outrage after a cricket pitch is vandalised in Croydon. The family of a Jewish man who died at the Royal London Hospital early this month say the coroner's delay in issuing a death certificate has meant Clive Hyman's religious burial rites have been ignored. According to Jewish law, the deceased should be buried as soon as possible, ideally within 24 hours. But delays at Poplar Coroner's Court means 12 days on, the funeral still hasn't taken place. Anna O'Neill has been speaking to Mr. Hyman's widow, Rachel.
Came into my office looking for a job, and yeah, that was it. We became friends. 30-minute conversation took an hour and a half, and you know, we were texted and called and met up and stuff, and then yeah, in 2018 it became romantic.
But 12 days ago, Clive died.
He had an accident, and then he was taken to the Royal London Hospital in Whitechapel because he had a brain injury, and then sadly he died on Sunday the 10th of August.
And this is significant because you and Clive were both different religions.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about Clive's religion.
Clive is Jewish, and it's important in his faith that the funeral happens quickly. And I was told, the hospital were very kind, and I was told that, you know, it would have to go to the medical examiner, coroner, because it was an unnatural death, an unexpected death. And I was told we'd have an answer within 24 to 48 hours, which would have been Wednesday last week.
Clive was a member of Edgware and Hendon Reform Synagogue, and its senior rabbi says it can be extra distressing when families have to wait longer than expected.
Mostly, coroners, especially in the area where our synagogue is, are very, very well aware of the needs of Jewish families, and therefore will get on with it and communicate well with the family if there has to be a delay, and then hopefully within 2-3 days, maybe at the most, the body will be released. It does happen sometimes, and interestingly enough for our synagogue, it's happened twice in the past 2 weeks, that another family had also had to wait for many days before the body of their loved one was released. We're trying to support the family through not being able to do what they're expecting to do and need to do. We're trying to support the family through not being communicated with properly by the coroners.
It's been really, really stressful.
Poplar Coroner's Court hasn't responded to BBC London, but has now spoken to Rachel, and Clive's funeral can now go ahead next week.
Really distressing. You know, I lost my husband, my adored husband, suddenly and unexpectedly, and then I had this additional grief of not being able to do right by him. And that's all I want to do, is do right by him.
Anna O'Neill, BBC London.
Well, now a moment to take a look at some more local stories in the headlines today. A man accused of killing an ice cream seller who was stabbed to death in Wembley this week has appeared in court and been remanded in custody. Shahzad Khan was pronounced dead after being attacked at Monks Park on Tuesday. Zahir Zarur from Brent appeared at Willesden Magistrates Court charged with murder and possession of a bladed article. 80 firefighters were called out last night to a fire at a suspected cannabis factory in Walthamstow. It happened in a terraced house on Nebworth Avenue. Most of the ground floor was destroyed. The fire brigade says unsafe wiring is often used by growers to steal electricity. Network Rail is urging bus drivers to plan their routes carefully after a double-decker bus got wedged under a railway bridge in Essex. This one blocked Duke Street in Chelmsford for more than an hour on Wednesday. Some trains were also delayed. The bus company says it is investigating. And there are more stories on BBC local websites. Just head online or take a look at the BBC News app. The temperature has dropped a bit this week, making things a bit more comfortable, but the fire brigade says wildfires breaking out in open spaces and in parks remains a high risk. To deal with future fires, the London Fire Brigade has introduced new equipment to tackle the threat. Our environment correspondent Tom Edwards has been looking at the challenges faced.
There have been 64 wildfires this summer, the most since 2022. And with warmer summers due to climate change, this is now the new normal. All of the fires, like this one on Wanstead Flats, are started accidentally or deliberately by people.
If you look down here, the ground is really hard and dry, and what we're finding through the summers that we're having now is the ground is getting really, really dry. Wanstead Flats historically is known for having quite a lot of peat on it as well, which does burn quite quickly and is deep-seated. But what comes into consideration here as well is human factor, human behaviour. You can have discarded cigarettes, barbecues. Also comes into it is potentially glass, broken bottles.
In 2022, 16 homes were lost in Wennington in Havering. It led to a major incident review, which called for changes to how the fire brigade deals with grass fires.
The vehicle can follow the flame front along with water being delivered the whole time. A normal fire appliance has to stop, engage the pump. This one can continuously move along, which makes it a lot faster and a lot quicker response getting water onto the actual fire.
There are now 4 of these wildfire vehicles on trial, with experts ready to deploy.
We've always faced grass fires, it's always been a thing, but climate change is happening. We're seeing longer, drier summers, drier springs. This year we had a really, really dry spring as well, which means that we are seeing sort of larger numbers of grass fires and wildfires and probably larger in intensity as well.
In London, the brigade has to react quickly to wildfires, as there's usually homes nearby. It also advises local councils when to cut back vegetation.
On this side you can see where it's been allowed to grow, much better for wildlife, etc. However, where you've got the buildings over there, if you kept this longer, if a fire started, it would spread to those buildings very, very quickly. By managing this bit of land, if a fire does start, it buys us the time we need to attend and get the fire under control.
This was a demonstration of the new water lances.
We've used these a number of times over the summer so far, and crews have used it to great success.
The impact of these fires on the environment could take months to assess.
There is no sound of birds. There's no other sound this morning, and that's because any wildlife that was here will have been pushed out. And the heat goes downwards as well, of course, so anything nesting just below the ground will also be affected.
Experts say the number of wildfires will only increase. London is facing new challenges with a changing climate. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
Residents in South London have been left angry and outraged after their local cricket pitch in Norbury Park was vandalised. It's now unusable and no one knows when it'll be repaired. Matt Graveling has been to see it.
London's cricket grounds have seen some scintillating sport this summer. Whether Lords or the Oval, it's inspiring people across the capital to pick up a bat at places like this, Norbury Park, where £500,000 was spent on this cricket pitch 6 years ago. This week, it was destroyed.
Absolutely shocked, absolutely shocked. Clearly been either pickaxed or a jackhammer, done, you know, serious destruction. The cricket pitch is used by great big glorious community matches on Sunday mornings. It's used by children, families, girls, boys, dads, having fun, upping their skills after school and at weekends.
LJ and sister Hannah told me they come here for their birthdays, but today played among the debris, watched by mum Ashley.
It's been amazing for all
families. My kids have absolutely loved it, but seeing it like this, it's frustrating for everyone. So it's not a nice thing to see when you come to the park.
I like this cricket pitch because it's nice and like bowling. I used to play it for my birthday and now it's gone because I can't play it with my friends anymore.
This damage was first discovered on Tuesday morning. You can see the AstroTurf was completely ripped up and big holes were made in the foundation. They've been covered up now with gravel. The Metropolitan Police say that it has been thoroughly investigated. There are no lines of inquiry, no arrests have been made, and so the case has been closed. Shafi Khan was one of the councillors who led the charge to get the pitch.
But main impetus came from some young people, and I was really gutted and disappointed to see this state. And people sometimes don't think.
We need to discuss this with the council and see what their budget is and say, we're north of the borough, we need a little bit more help. You know, we need some support. We need to have this improved so that people can see it's a better space for them and something they can respect.
Local MP Steve Reed has called the attack mindless, unacceptable vandalism and has asked the council to repair the damage. Croydon Council say they are appalled by the act and have made the area safe and continue to work with police. As I finished filming, some more young children came to play. They told me they're here every week and are gutted by what has happened. Matt Graveling, BBC London.
The Women's Rugby World Cup begins when we go off air, in a few minutes' time, with the home nation England taking on the USA. The final will be in Twickenham next month, and it's hoped the tournament will encourage more women and girls to play the sport. Well, as people come together for tonight's match, let's go to Beaconsfield, where a women's team played its first ever match earlier this year. Chris Legg is there for us. Chris.
Yeah, here at Beaconsfield Rugby Club, there is no shortage of enthusiasm. Fans have gathered in number to watch England against the USA tonight. Now, they've had a men's team here at Beaconsfield for 73 years, but only a women's team for the last 18 months. It was on a historic day back in April that team stepped into the dressing rooms and played its very first match. And the RFU hopes this can be a blueprint for other clubs around the country that might be inspired to introduce a women's team. That will certainly help if England do well, which they are expected to do. They are the favourites. I'm going to step out into a beautiful night in Buckinghamshire to speak to the chair of the women's team, Wendy, and the captain, Charlotte. Wendy, I've got to ask you, where did the momentum come from to form a women's team after all this time?
Yeah, so firstly, we've had Bobcats, Beaconsfield Bobcats, which is our girls' team. So they were coming up through the club, and when they reached the age of 12, there was no pathway for them. So we were then losing them to go and join other clubs. So it was really important for us. In the last few years, as women's sport's been growing, it's really important for us to develop that women's pathway and girls' pathway. So we wanted the girls to be able to see a women's team that they can aspire to join.
Take me back to the emotion of that first match in April when seeing the team score its first ever try.
Oh, I mean, that was amazing. And the girl who scored the try for us was actually a Bobcat that did come up through the club. So it was amazing. There was a lot of excitement, a lot of nerves. We all felt hugely honoured because it was the first Beaconsfield game. So it was such a massive thing for us to do. And at the end of it, a huge sense of achievement because we as a club made history. It was great.
Charlotte, captain of the team, what sort of impact do you think this World Cup might have, particularly if England do well?
I mean, it's great to have such a spotlight on England rugby, and for women coming into the game, I think it's a real drive to have a recruitment. Hopefully some more girls will come and play, women will come and play for us, so a big recruitment drive. And then just great for women's sport in general, and now a spotlight on women's rugby coming off the Lionesses. I think now having that spotlight on rugby and really getting girls and women into rugby is key.
This club looks like it's going places quickly because you brought in Poppy Cleal, Connie Powell, two England players to be coaches here. That must be hugely exciting for players like yourself.
I mean, it's amazing to have the role models like them, such strong women, red roses. It's amazing, and they bring so much energy and excitement to the training sessions. We're breaking it down into real basics, but then also catering for the more experienced players as well. So they're really great to have. And then we also have Ollie Perry, who's also our Minis coach and our Minis club captain. captain, and she's also an England Red Rose as well. So we've got an amazing pathway from minis up to women's.
Certainly sounds like it. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. We've enjoyed watching the match tonight. I think the cheers in this crowded clubhouse will be heard 250 miles north of here at the Stadium of Light. England-USA opening game of the Women's Rugby World Cup live on BBC One. All the build-up straight after we're off air. Assad.
Yeah, can't wait. Thanks very much for that, Chris. OK, let's get the weather forecast now from Stav. It's Carnival weekend, Stav. Fingers crossed for the weather. It's been a bit cooler, though, this week. Any chance that temperatures might pick up?
It will be, Assad. Yeah, it has been cool, actually. The lack of sunshine has allowed the buildings to cool and cloudy skies by day, lack of sunshine. But it will be warming up this weekend. I could probably say it's the warm-up before the storm next week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
OK.
more on that in just a moment. Good evening to you. By the storm, I mean the remnants of Hurricane Erin, which will bring us a much-needed change to our weather, certainly some much-needed rain to our gardens later next week. But this weekend, and it's a bank holiday weekend, of course, it's going to be dry with increasing amounts of sunshine, and it'll certainly be warming up, perhaps into the high 20s by a bank holiday Monday. Tonight, well, after a sunny day, and it was quite warm today, cloud will drift down from the north, so that'll blanket in the temperatures which we had today, reaching the low 20s. So I think lows of around 14 or 15 degrees in the city centre. It means Saturday could be quite grey to start with. Been pretty used to that this week. Hopefully some holes will break in the cloud to allow for some sunny spells. Maybe in the thickest cloud there could be the odd spit of drizzle in the air, but most places will be dry. And if you hold on to the cloud, then 21 or 22 degrees, given some sunny spells, could be a touch higher than that. Saturday night will be a dry one. Sunday, increasing amounts of sunshine. As you can see, that cloud will break up readily. We're changing our wind direction coming in from the southeast, so temperatures will creep up. They'll respond to that sunshine, 23 or 24 degrees. Our area of high pressure holds on through Sunday into Monday, but waiting out in the wings is the remnants of Hurricane Erin. It's quite a deep area of low pressure out towards the west of Ireland. But Monday, look at that, barely a cloud in the sky. It'll be sunny throughout the day. We're picking up our air from the near continent, so a warmer one to come. 25, it could be higher than that, given lots of sunshine. Our winds coming off northern France there. And then as we move through the week, this area of low pressure will sweep in. It'll bring bands of showers, longer spells of rain at times. The winds also picking up and temperatures will start to drop. So as we do move through the week, it'll start to turn a little bit fresher with some very much needed rain for our gardens. Hassan.
Yeah, very much needed. Sav, thanks very much for that. Now, before we go, a reminder of the day's main news story. And it's a famine has been confirmed in and around Gaza City in a United Nations-backed report. It says more than 500,000 Palestinians are facing starvation and death. Israel says it's not true and continues its heavy military attack in the area. Well, that's it. But to repeat what I said earlier in the programme, if you're planning on going to the Notting Hill Carnival this weekend, then do take a look at the BBC London website, which has lots of useful information and everything you need to know from how to get there to the lineup itself. We'll also be there all weekend on TV, radio and online. Do have a very good bank holiday weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.